Welcome back. Thanks for staying with Morning Live. Let's focus in on sport now, where soccer's global governing body, FIFA, have joined with the World Health Organization in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic, with the organization's president, Gianni Infantino, calling for teamwork to tackle the crisis. 28 players, including Argentina forward Lionel Messi and Brazil keeper Alisson Becker, have backed the initiative aimed at reinforcing 5 WHO guidelines in stemming the spread of the virus. FIFA have pledged $10 million to support the COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund for the World Health Organization.
So we have to get the message across the world, and football wants to help. This campaign actually came to us. We didn't need to go looking for it. There are no actors in this campaign, just the players themselves, and they all want to highlight the advice that is provided to all of us, to all of them, by the WHO. For that, I would like to thank all these football players, all the legends who are part of this campaign, for making it possible. And actually, the FIFA teams, dear Tedros, includes, of course, the greatest footballers in the world, but also our 211 member countries and the 6 continental confederations. Together we are going to roll out this campaign in the next days in videos, in graphics, and in many languages, so we can really pass the message to kick out coronavirus.
Sport is a multi-billion-dollar sector. The cost of all the cancellations and the postponements has yet to be quantified. But the combined revenue of the Big 5 football leagues around the world in the 2018-2019 season is reported to amount to almost 17 billion euros. That's on hold. In money-spinning Formula 1, the first 8 races of their season will no longer be taking place as expected. And the International Olympic Committee says that the revenue for the organization was $5.7 billion in the last Olympic cycle. So what will the sporting landscape look like post the coronavirus, and is it even too early to ask? Calvin Watt, MD of Africa and Asia for Nielsen Sports, who help businesses maximize their commercial success in sports sponsorship, joins me now to speak a little bit more about this. A very good morning, Calvin, and welcome to Morning Live.
Morning, Valen.
Is it too early to be speaking about a sports world post-corona?
Absolutely. Well, yes and no. I think it's very early to start working out what the cost to sport will be, and certainly there's a lot of work to be done in that regard. But certainly a lot of our clients around the world are starting to think about what does the world look post-corona, and what is the role of sport in that world. It looks like early announcements coming out of the Olympics today that we're going to be seeing that postponed for a year. That's going to have some major implications, not only obviously in Japan and for the IOC itself, but for international federations, for teams and leagues around the world. So, very early days still, working out where we're going to be. But I think a general feeling that sport's going to play a major role in the post-corona world that we will be living in.
We'll talk a little bit more about the role that we're expecting sport to play once things return to normal. But in your traditional sporting sponsorship contracts, what are the kind of clauses like? I mean, are we looking at, mass returns of funds from a lot of these major sporting events?
Absolutely. I think that's some of the things that sport's really grappling with right now. You would have seen the announcements out of English Premier League, etc., that they will not start the next season until the current season is complete. And that's really to protect the current contracts that they have in place, both from sponsorship and from the really big money and the broadcast rights. So I really foresee a situation where leagues will continue, the current leagues that are in play, and will be played through to a finish at some stage, even if quite badly delayed, simply to protect those revenues, because quite frankly I don't think the sports world can move on by simply losing the revenue that's been booked into the current contract period.
I know we speak about billions and millions of US dollars or euros when it comes to the big leagues, but we haven't really focused in on those other smaller sporting codes and those other federations where they only have one sponsor to actually go about their business for an entire financial year.
Absolutely. That sponsors have and rights owners have with their sponsors. Those that have a good relationship, I think you'll see that they'll find a way to create and deliver content. And we're already seeing that in a number of quarters. There's some people that are doing some fantastic work creating and delivering content to their fan base, even without the live sport environment. And we're tracking a lot of that on social and digital for clients around the world. In a local example, I'm really enjoying some of the stuff I've seen coming out of the Sharks, with the Sharks Got Talent and a few other things with the Sundowns and Pirates footballers, and things like that, and around those football clubs that are also creating and generating content that's still giving value to their sponsors. So I think at the wash up of this, we're going to see, who are the people that have been able to keep the content being generated, keep their fan base or their participation base engaged, and that's going to be a really important time for them. And here we're going to really see the type of relationships rights owners have been fostering with their sponsors over a period of time, and that's really going to start coming into play.
A big question mark around the Olympic Games is ticket refunds, because there's millions that have already been spent on tickets. So how do these sporting events manage maintaining a good rapport with their fans, but also many of them are restricted in even giving refunds?
Absolutely. I think, there's some big issues. Certainly we see that from a ticketing perspective. I would expect that all tickets will remain valid for a year down the line from an Olympic perspective. So I don't think that's going to be a major issue for them. I think the sporting events that really concern us are the mass participation events. You saw the Absa Cape Epic being called off with a day to go. I mean, there's just no ways that the organisation will be in a situation to reimburse all those entry fees. Similarly, I see an announcement out of the Cape Town Marathon that entry fees, should that be cancelled later in October, will we return? So they're obviously in a very different situation. But I think those are the organisations that are under some serious pressure, are the ones where they charge participation, entry fees for participation, because that's a major part of their revenue stream, and it keeps them going for a year, especially events like the Two Oceans Marathon, Comrades Marathon, Absa Cape Epic, Cape Town Marathon, those events that only come around once a year and only have a very limited revenue opportunity.
What role will sport play post-corona?
Certainly the impact that we're starting to see is that people around the world, in a lot of different markets, and we're seeing that people are really starting to get the understanding of just how much sport means to them, how much live sport means to them, how much going to watch their children play sport means to them. So we fully expect that we'll see sport being used as a major part of celebrating the world post-corona. We're expecting to see a lot of people realizing just what a great opportunity it is on a weekend or on an evening to go out and enjoy live sport. And so certainly early indications are that we'll see people getting out and about and going to events again, and using events to celebrate the fact that we've moved past this as a world. So certainly we believe sport will play a very, very important role in that. On the mass participation perspective, we start to see a lot of people really understanding the value of their health. And so getting out, running and doing things. Obviously the next 3 weeks in South Africa are going to be very difficult for that, and seemingly people won't be able to go out running, riding and other things. But certainly coming out of that, we expect that people will appreciate, what a privilege it is to be able to do. You see a spike in mass participation and other events too.
All right, certainly an optimistic outlook there. Thank you very much. That's Calvin Watt, who's the Managing Director for Africa and Asia at Nielsen Sports. Thank you for chatting to us here on Morning Live. And just to recap our trivia question that we asked you in the first hour, what was the last year that the Olympic gold medals were made purely of gold? Get involved at Morning Live SABC on Twitter and